I want you to travel back with me to the spring of 2016. A hotel ballroom in Seoul, a Google program called AlphaGo sits down to play the ancient board game of Go against Lee Sedol, one of the greatest human players to ever live. I've been in enterprise tech long enough to know when something genuinely new is happening. For decades, Go was the last safe haven, the one game computers supposedly couldn't touch. Too complex, too intuitive, too human. That assumption died in Seoul. To understand what happened in that ballroom, you need to understand a number, 10 to the 170th power. That's the number of possible board positions in Go. The observable universe runs out of atoms somewhere around 10 to the 80th. We're not even close. No machine could brute force calculate through a space that large. So for thousands of years, Go players relied on something machines weren't supposed to have: intuition. They'd talk about the shape of the board, whether a stone felt heavy or light, pattern recognition that couldn't be explained, only felt. Go wasn't a game of computation, it was a contest of intuition, which is why everyone assumed it was safe. Human intuition was the moat, the thing that separated us from the machines. Then came Move 37. Game 2, Move 37. The machine placed a stone in a spot so bizarre that the professional commentators went silent. The European champion watching from the booth thought the system had crashed. Lee Sedol, a man who'd spent his entire life mastering intuition, stood up and left the room for 15 minutes. Not because the move was wrong, because it was right in a way no human had ever conceived. The moat just evaporated. The greatest Go minds on Earth stared at a board they'd mastered their entire lives. They couldn't tell if Move 37 was genius or a glitch. 50 moves later, the board delivered its verdict. The machine won. But here's the problem. Nobody wanted to name. The real story isn't that AI won a game. It's the gap between the AI being right and a human being able to see that it's right. The quality of that move was invisible at the exact moment it mattered most. We built a system smarter than the experts, then discovered the experts can't evaluate what it's doing. That gap doesn't close, it widens. Human understanding just became the keyhole. Go was the easy case. Fixed rules, perfect information, a verdict delivered in a few hours. Now we're wiring these exact same systems into drug discovery, supply chain optimization, corporate restructuring, material science. The feedback loops don't take an afternoon anymore. They take years, sometimes decades, which means by the time you know the A, I was right, or catastrophically wrong, you've already bet the company on it. So what happens when the AI proposes a factory layout that looks insane, or a molecular structure that violates every expert's intuition? How do you react? Because I looked further than you can is not an explanation. It's a demand for faith. Hollywood actually nailed this problem. Infinity War. Doctor Strange looks at 14 million futures, then hands Thanos the one thing that could destroy everything. His team watches him do it. He offers zero explanation. They just have to trust the incomprehensible, winning move. Millions of people watched that scene and cheered for it. In a movie theater, we love the idea of trusting the search we cannot follow. In a boardroom, when it's your budget, your career, your company, that feeling changes fast. Cheering in a theater is easy. Trusting an incomprehensible insight when it's your career or $40 million on the line, that's different. Most organizations will default to their strongest instinct when faced with a move 37 in the boardroom. They'll say no, they'll reject the superhuman insight, sand it down into something comfortable, something defensible, something a human can explain to their boss, their regulator, their board. I've sat in enough of those rooms to know what happens next. The AI gets overruled by a committee that needs to understand what it's approving. And by doing that, by demanding comprehension as the price of action, they might be vetoing the winning move over and over again. So the obvious fix, have a second AI check the first one's math. For bridge design or physics problems, sure, works fine. There's a scoreboard. Reality delivers a verdict. But what about make the city more resilient or fix the supply chain? Now you've got an AI checking an AI, which gets checked by another AI. It's judges all the way down. You haven't solved the problem. You've just moved the mystery up one level. That entire tower still ends the same way, with a human deciding whether to trust it. There's one more constraint that makes this truly unsettling. Unlike a game of Go, which you can reset and replay 10,000 times to see what would have happened if you'd moved differently, we can't rewind human history. If an AI delivers a radical new energy grid tomorrow and things get measurably better, we'll never actually know if a different plan would have been even better. The alternatives only exist in the AI's simulated, unauditable models. We can't rerun 2037 to check the machine's hidden math, which means we're entering something new, an age of earned reliance. So how do we survive this bottleneck, where every breakthrough has to squeeze through the narrow keyhole of human understanding? We reverse the film. The Enlightenment promised that every claim could eventually be tested and understood step by step. But for most of human history, we operated differently. Ancient societies practiced ritual washing centuries before anyone proved germs existed. Healers used honey and ginger without knowing the chemistry. They trusted results they couldn't explain. With superhuman AI, we're returning to that ancient relationship with knowledge. We're learning to rely on outcomes we cannot fully decode. The difference is scale, and speed, and stakes. This isn't about blind obedience. It's not about doing something just because a computer barked an order at you. It's about earned reliance, evidence-based faith, if you want to call it that, a willingness to let an AI's track record stand in when human reasoning can no longer keep up. You build conviction slowly, extending trust in proportion to the AI's success, and you withdraw it if that record breaks. It's the only rational position left. If this sounds reckless, remember, your life already runs on faith you never audited. You swallow pills without reading the trials, board jets at 30,000 feet without checking the math, drink tap water trusting regulators you've never met. We've always trusted systems we don't fully understand. The only difference now, the chain of trust doesn't end with a human engineer anymore. It ends with a machine. And most organizations aren't wired to handle that. The bargain we have to strike. So here's the bargain we have to strike. We retain total control over defining the goal, where we're going, what winning actually means. But we grant the machine freedom to take whatever incomprehensible path it needs to get us there. The trick, whoever defines the goal quietly owns a piece of it. Holding that boundary, making sure we're the ones who define what winning looks like, is going to be the great challenge of our era. Because the moment you outsource the destination, you've already lost. For decades, the 4-minute mile was treated like a physical law. Scientists argued the human heart would literally explode trying to break it. Then Roger Bannister ran it in 1954. 46 days later, someone beat his time. Soon high schoolers were doing it. The barrier was never in the legs. It was in the ceiling everyone agreed existed. Once one person broke through, the whole myth collapsed. That's what's happening now with AI. Something identical is happening in the world of Go right now. AlphaGo didn't destroy the human game. Young professionals today study the machine's games, and human play has become measurably more creative or original and daring than ever before. We don't actually know the limits of human intelligence. For our entire history, we've been the fastest runner on the track. We've only ever paced ourselves against ourselves. AI isn't going to replace us. It's going to become the intellectual pacer humanity has always lacked. The ceilings we treat as rigid in science, in logistics, in what organizations think is possible, they're going to break. And they're going to keep breaking. Someday soon, your organization is going to be handed its own move 37, a decision better than anything you can currently comprehend. So here's the question. When that moment comes, will you do what instinct demands and veto the best move you were ever handed? Or will you have the faith to play it? The companies that figure this out in the next 12 months will acquire the companies that don't. Follow for more.